Welcome back to the American College of Surgeons Bulletin Brief from the front line, Surgeons' Voices. With me today is Dr. Ken Sharp, my friend from the Board of Regents, a fellow regent, also a fellow member of the ACS Foundation Board. Dr. Sharp is, of course, Vice Chair at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Vice Chair in the section of Surgical Sciences for Faculty Development and Promotion. Welcome, Dr. Sharp.
Thank you, Dr. Wexner. Glad to be here.
Great to have you with us. And you, at our recent Foundation Board meeting, made an unbelievably magnanimous philanthropic gesture offering to match donations to the Foundation. So firstly, please accept my deepest, sincerest appreciation for that amazing gesture. Your generosity is unprecedented in any meeting I've ever sat in on from a surgeon. So thank you. But let's get to the root of what led to that altruistic act. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your work with the Foundation and what led up to it.
I've been involved with the college since I was a very junior faculty member. I got interested in the Foundation through Dick Riling, who actually introduced me to it. And then actually he was one of the people who helped put me on the Foundation board once it was established. So I think I joined the Foundation board in 2013. Shortly thereafter became the secretary for a few years. And then I finished my 6 years in 2019, which worked out very nicely because then it was the same time I was elected a regent. And I very naturally wanted to be a liaison to the Foundation board. So I didn't really know I had a whole lot of interest in fundraising. I thought the idea of supporting the college was a great idea, but I had not really thought about philanthropy in the big scheme of things. The executive director of the Foundation when I joined it was a fellow named Marty Wojcik, lives in Phoenix, Arizona now, really nice fellow, good fundraiser. And he taught me a lot about raising funds. And I didn't realize it, but it interested me. And then he retired and Shane Hollett became the executive director, and he taught me even more. He's had a very long career in fundraising and in running foundations. And so I've learned several things from both of them, but I found out that I was interested in raising money. I found it easy to talk to people about fundraising. I think many people don't like talking to colleagues or associates or whoever because they're afraid they'll be turned down. And I just that was never a problem for me for somebody to say, no, I don't think I'm ready to give at this time. And I realized that the real way to raise funds was to develop personal relationships with people who I thought had similar interests to me, and that is strong supporters, loyal supporters of the college. So I really didn't know I had this interest. My wife is baffled by it. I guess I am baffled by it too a bit. But it feels really good to me to do that. One, to give, and two, to encourage others to give.
Well, that's a wonderful, noble thing that you're doing and giving to the Foundation, and especially at the level you've committed. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the type of activities in which the Foundation engages, where you'd anticipate your money and other donations which you'll be matching might be going.
One of the things that I got interested in, and it was only partly due to my friendship with Tyler Hughes, was rural surgery. So I had an interest in rural surgery for, quite frankly, unclear reasons, but I thought it was an area that was sadly lacking on the workforce, and I was very concerned about the future of the surgical workforce in rural areas. And maybe it's because my family comes from very rural areas where healthcare was sparse. So actually, when I was on the governors, and then when I joined the advisory council, one of the things I got interested in was supporting rural surgery. And that was at about the time that Tyler Hughes came to the Regents, and they established an advisory council for rural surgery. And then I joined the Foundation in 2013, and it was a natural mix for me to go to their advisory council meeting and learn what they were struggling with. So I made a pledge back when we had the 1913 campaign. I made a pledge of $13,000, and it was going to rural surgery. And I've worked with Tyler. I've worked with Mike Serap, who's the current chair of the Advisory Council for Rural Surgery. And one of the things that was an idea that we thought would be helpful would establish a traveling fellowship, get young residents out into rural communities and see what rural surgery is like. Um, we were working through that process, and then the pandemic put a scotch on all of travel and so forth. So that has now gone dormant for the, at least hopefully just for the near future. But that to me was very meaningful, to give money that we could then use to support a resident going to a rural community to see what rural surgery was like. And that was one of the first ideas where I said, okay, I know where I want this money to go of my own. And we were able to, by talking to members of the Rural Surgery Council, uh, we've raised about I don't know, $60,000-$70,000 over the past several years. And so we have a corpus that we can use now. And it's not meant to be an endowment. That is, we're not going to try to work off of the income from that amount of money, but frankly, what I want to do is spend it as we raise it, would be my goal. So that was really the first effort I made. I've since then, with the 1913 campaign, it turned out they established something called chapter funds and in that campaign. So we, as well as several other states, have established our own Tennessee chapter foundation fund. And I have been able to raise money there because I have been able to say we can use this money to support the mission of our chapter. And so COVID really stepped all over us last year, but for the San Francisco meeting, we had a little essay contest for young fellows to tell us what would it be, what meaning would it have for them to go to the clinical congress um, and be able to afford it, be able to afford to take their spouse. And we had a young woman from Upper East Tennessee who was actually going to be inducted that year. She was not going to be able to travel with a husband and a small child and money. So we gave her $2,200, I think, to support airfare, hotels, some meals, registration. And so she actually got a trip to have her induction into the college. And she came back walking about 6 to 8 inches off the ground. She was very high on the clinical congress. We actually made it a requirement that she come back to our chapter meeting and gave her a small stipend to do that, to report on what had this gift done to encourage her engagement with the Tennessee chapter. And well, guess what? We had to go to a virtual state chapter meeting, but she made a video about how excited she was, had pictures of her in her robe and gown and with her husband and child. And it was terrific. So we had two people picked out to go to leadership and advocacy. We had two people picked out to go to clinical congress in Chicago, and you know the end of that story. But we think it's going to be a great way to get young members, young fellows engaged in our state chapter.
Absolutely. And certainly a lot has happened that's precluded us being able to get together and being able to share experiences and promote some of the causes which we'd like to promote. And speaking of promotion, Doctors Day, March 30th, 2021, the foundation has undertaken a drive to honor one or more mentors with a donation, which again, very, very generously will be matched by you. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Doctors Day honoree plan, if you will, and about the magnitude of your matching program.
So the first time that the college engaged with National Doctors Day, I think was 2017. And Sarah Klein, who worked with us at that time, really got the ball rolling on that and, developing some materials. And so in March of 2016, we sent out materials to the fellows, encouraging them to give to National Doctors Day to the foundation, with the idea that you would give to honor somebody who was very important in your development. It might be your mom, might be your dad, might be your uncle, the surgeon, might be one of your early faculty members in medical school, or one of the faculty members who trained you. We didn't have it restricted to any one particular idea, but the idea was, honestly, it was doctors honoring their mentors. And we engendered several $1,000s. I'm going to say it was $9,000 or $10,000 in donations that year. And I gave to honor Dr. John Sawyers, who I had worked for as a medical student one summer in Nashville. And then he hired me at Vanderbilt in 1984. And I can visualize it like it was last week, but going into his office during my first couple of weeks on the faculty, and he gave me several assignments. Okay, you're going to run medical student clerkship, Ken. You're going to get active in the Tennessee chapter. You're going to get interested and active in the Southeastern Surgical Congress. And then he expected me to follow up on that, get engaged, participate in those meetings, and it worked out very well. I gave $1,000 in his honor and wrote a short paragraph about what he had meant to my career. And again, I remember this quite vividly. I sent the check in on Monday, or made the credit card donation on Monday, and he died on Friday at 90. And it, to me, still, that feels sort of hollow. I made a gift and he never knew it. So since then, I've given a gift to one of my mentors every year. I gave one 2 years ago to George, in honor of George Zeidema. I've given in honor of Jim O'Neill, who have been important in my professional development. And this year, we think that if we just give some stimulation, give a little extra excitement, that maybe we can raise a significant amount of money this year. We actually raised about $90,000 2 years ago at leadership. I was able to get in front of the governors and the meeting people, and we challenged people to give. We had a scalpel to give to people for a significant donation or pledge. We actually raised about $90,000 in DC 2 years ago, partly because I was able to be there and talk to people, but partly because I think people were doing well. The economy was doing good. And we actually made some impact with that.
Well, a lot of impact, I think. And being able to honor mentors is really special. The honoree received a letter from the foundation saying they've been honored, letting them know who honored them. And the fact that you're matching those donations this year doubles the impact of what people are doing for the foundation, which allows this important work to continue to be carried out. So maybe you can give us a little summary elevator pitch, if you will, why everybody listening to us chat today, watching us have this conversation, are going to want to hit a donate button and contribute to the foundation.
All of us have strong influences in our lives, whether it's parental or whether it's professional. And there's usually one or two people that really are responsible for where you have ended up today. Okay, that you've gotten this position, you're this kind of surgeon, you're successful. And I really think we tend not to thank our mentors. And I felt terrible that I didn't thank Dr. John Sawyers for his influence in my life and career before he died. And I still feel just awful about that. And so now I feel very encouraged about giving to people who've been influential in my life. I think that giving is probably 10% intellectual and 90% emotional. And I give to the college because I've had incredible emotional attachment to the college over the past 30 years. I've gotten so much out of it professionally. I've gotten so much out of it from the friendships and the colleagues I've met and worked with. I have so much to thank the college as a whole. So actually this year, I haven't figured out who I'm going to do, which one person I'm going to give to. I have some ideas. He might be retiring soon. But these people have been incredibly important in my life, in my career. And like I say, I'm not really thinking so much about intellectually, oh, there's a tax deduction. I'm thinking really more about, I feel good about supporting people and programs and societies that have been very good for me.
Well, thanks. And you're a role model for all of us with your commitment to philanthropy and your enthusiastic passion for the foundation, because it allows the college to do a lot of things that could not be done based upon dues and revenues from quality and education programs. So thanks so much for everything you do. Thanks for your time today. And I look forward to a successful Doctor's Day campaign. in large measure stimulated by you.
Well, thank you. It's a good feeling.